Hi guys, how are you doing? Chris here, back with the Chuwi Vi10 Plus. Now I've had it for 3 days, I've been using it. I just wanted to cover a few things before I release my full review, which will hopefully be coming out in a week or so. So I found that so far, so good. The tablet has been performing nicely. I think the build quality for the price is definitely acceptable. It has that full metal rear on it that feels nice. Not bad at all. And it does have those torque screws holding it in. We have what feels like could be metal buttons, but they may just be chromed plastic ones. Now the webcams on there, they're pretty useless. At 2 megapixels, you can honestly not really expect a lot for that price range. But they'll be okay for Skype. For Skype calls, I found they were alright. A little grainy, but you've got to be in good lighting conditions. Now the kickstand, in my unboxing, I didn't have the kickstand set correctly. This is how you're supposed to put it in here. So the last third of it is what tucks up underneath, and there's a magnet in there. You can feel it pull it in, and that holds it. It's quite strong now. And if I move it to the side here just to demonstrate that you can push on this really quite hard, and that is not going to suddenly just collapse on you. So that's good to see. Now the keyboard, using the keyboard I find is okay. It's just like the Chuwi Vi10 keyboard. So the typing experience on it is okay. The tactile feedback, it has about 1.3 millimeters of travel. And the touchpad, I will say, is usable, but it's not the best touchpad in the world. You can honestly not really expect too much for the price range. So a $25 keyboard is not going to compete with your Microsoft Surface type cover. Not at all, but it isn't a bad keyboard to type on, I will say that. So I'm going to have a look now at a few benchmarks and cover the speakers as well. I know a few people are asking what do the speakers sound like, and just my overall impressions so far before my review will be released in about a week's time. So I ran my usual benchmarks I like to run on this. So first off is the Antutu score. So I got 64,000, which isn't bad for an Atom X5 Z8300. I have seen a lot worse than that. But anywhere around 60,000 is good. Now here are the wireless speeds. I was a little bit concerned about how good the wireless was going to be, having an all metal housing, but it actually doesn't seem to be too bad. I got really good speeds out of it. So happy with that. And when I went downstairs, which is the furthest away from my wireless router, I noticed that, yes, the speeds do drop off. That happens on all tablets, including my Surface Pro 4. But it didn't drop off as bad as I thought. Now, I got around 30 and 15 upload when I was downstairs. So you see, there's a definite decrease there, but nothing more than the usual. And here's the internal storage speed. So 114 reads and 63 writes. And here is a slingshot score. And the Ice Storm Unlimited score there at almost 20,000. So that's not a bad score at all, actually. And Ice Storm was maxed out. Now, what I haven't shown you here is Geekbench. Have I missed that one? There we go. Geekbench 3. Another good score. I'll quickly show you the screen brightness. So you can disable, there is actually an ambient light sensor. So turning that off will give you the full brightness here, which is 421 lumens of brightness, and that does dim right down to about 20 lumens, which, I mean, that's good for nighttime use. You're not going to be hurting your eyes, burning your eyes out looking at that at night. And so far in my initial testing, the battery life seems quite good. I watched a full episode of Mr. Robot, and that was 51 minutes, and I lost 10% battery. So I think with internet use, a bit of YouTube browsing, you're probably going to get, I think, over at least 6 hours. And I had 25% brightness as well when I was watching the movie there. So that wasn't the brightest setting, but I do think that that's kind of where most people will have the brightness would probably be about a quarter, maybe even a little bit higher, maybe about 40%. So battery life is looking, 6 hours, 6.5 hours. So I just wanted to do a quick speaker test. Now the microphone I'm going to use to record this is my Blue Yeti. I've put that in the basically surround audio mode here. So hopefully the mics are going to pick up, or the mic I should say, is going to pick up the sound. So 100% volume. Get it a bit close to the mic here. Okay, so now have a listen to the sound on the Zeus Zenfone 3 Ultra. Now this has some really good speakers for a mobile phone. So you can see that there's quite a difference. I would rate these speakers on the Chuwi Vi10 Plus here to be reasonably poor. They're not really that good. There's not much bass to them. I hope they would be a little bit louder. Now the tablet is running Remix OS version 2.0 and it's good for multitasking, and some applications, for example Chrome here, won't actually let me do it, but some apps will let you run the application in what's called like the phone mode. So it'll be running like you'll be running on a, I think it's a 4-inch mobile phone, and that allows you to minimize and have actually applications side by side. So if I just quickly go back to the home here, you see that I can bring up the calculator and you can see that's in a window there, and other things like I think like downloads, file manager will probably start out in full screen, but you do have the option there. If you can see there that you can just window that, so now that is just in a window, so you're able to put apps here side by side. So there I could have the calculator, file manager. Chrome isn't supporting that, but there's some applications that will, some games, some benchmarks as well. You get almost like what I would say is something like a start menu here that you can launch your recent apps, and you can sort those too. You want to go on the usage, the date that they were installed. So for example, if I just want to run, I think Geekbench is one of those apps that I just should be able to run, that it'll probably start out in full screen. And yes, so that's one that I can actually just minimize there. And you could be running various different things on, and switching between the apps there is quite easy, because then you can just go along here at the bottom and just go between what's already open, and that's kind of like a desktop setup. So it's very different to your standard Android affair, the way that you're able to do this, and that is definitely something that it suits 2-in-1s a lot better, I feel. And you also have notifications along here. You can control the internet wireless, your screen brightness, and your battery life. Is a little similar setup to what you would see on Linux or Windows even, really, how they have things along here. You're able to go along there and do a memory cleanup too quite easily. Now free memory, you get about, you can see here, normally a quarter of the memory is always taken up. So you're getting around to about, I would say estimate, around 1.5 gigabytes free on this 2 gigabyte model. Now there is going to be a dual boot model, which is going to have Windows 10 on there and then Remix. So you're going to have plenty more RAM on that version. That version will have 4 gigabytes of RAM and a 64 gigabyte eMMC. Now I will be back later on with the full review of this Vi10 Plus Remix only version, and I'll go through some gaming in that as well. I know I haven't shown you any gaming in this particular video, but the performance of it is so far is good. Now I have had one hiccup, actually two. I've had it freeze up on me twice, but recently that hasn't happened after Google, the Play Store, started updating a couple of those applications. So hopefully one of those applications was causing the full lockup. But what happened is the touchscreen became completely unresponsive, and when I did try to minimize something, it was just completely frozen. So I had to hold down the power button and turn it off, which is not good to see if stability is going to be a problem. Now I think it's something to do maybe with the software, so hopefully that's not going to happen anymore, but I will give you an update on that in the review. I will definitely mention that if I get any more lockups with it, because you don't want to buy a tablet, even if it's only about $130. You don't want to buy a tablet that's going to have stability problems. And gaming performance, what I have looked at already, is quite good, and overall performance in around the operating system seems fine. Chrome seems good. I'm happy with the battery life. It's looking like a solid tablet for the price, because all up with the keyboard's about 25 or 23 US. The tablet was on sale for 130, so that's quite cheap. You're getting a lot, I feel, and you're going to be able to install Windows 10 on this later on. Chuwi should be releasing files on their forum, so you will be able to go along and actually flash this over and put Windows on there. I'm not too sure if you can do dual boot as well. Probably they might release the files for that. Of course, you'd have to supply your own Windows 10 license. Thank you so much for watching this video, and as mentioned, the review will be coming out hopefully within about a week or so. So keep an eye on the Chuwi Vi10 Plus playlist, because it will be added, and that way you won't miss it there.